Morning in Health Watch, Morgellons, a mystery illness that can make people feel like their skin's crawling.
It is a mystery straight out of the X-Files, but those who suffer from it will tell you it's painfully real.
Imagine feeling like your skin is literally crawling, that you're tormented at all hours. You can't even think straight. The condition is driving you crazy. But
a strange substance found by a Southwest Arkansas man be part of a government test? Well, that's the question at the heart of a phenomenon called chemtrails, now getting widespread attention.
Well, Laura, the disease literally makes your skin feel like it's crawling, but here's the real scary part for us. Out of the entire country, the LA area has the highest percentage of cases.
Thousands of sufferers nationwide, but who seem concentrated in Texas, California, and Florida.
Report a higher than average number of patients who have these symptoms.
Just hearing their symptoms might make you feel sick.
It happened again last February, and calls began pouring into the local Alpenhorn newspaper.
And they had a tremendous upsurge of children that were not going to school at that time.
Pharmacist Ed Burrows says it is the most mysterious illness he's seen in 22 years on the mountain.
Imagine sweating beads of a black tar-like substance or pulling colored thread-like strings from sores all over your body.
A lot of eye infection problems, upper respiratory problems, nosebleeds.
Patients report feeling bugs crawling beneath their skin, sores that don't heal, dementia, extreme fatigue, and most disturbing, fibers that push out from open wounds.
The symptoms are very close to what's been reported, I think, generally. They typically describe a disturbing skin sensations such as itching or stinging or pins and needles. They have ulcers or a rash on their skin. Many of these are very difficult to heal. And they additionally, they report that they have foreign materials such as threads or fibers coming from beneath their skin.
Some patients actually gave us those fibers, so we had them analyzed against 100,000 known fiber samples, both natural and synthetic, that the FBI crime lab uses, Diane. Guess what? Not a match.
And, you know, it turns out until 9 years ago, the government had the right under U.S. law to conduct secret testing on the American public under specific conditions.
Those who fear chemtrails could be secret biological or chemical testing on the public point to the 1977 Senate hearings in particular, which confirmed 239 populated areas had been contaminated with biological agents between 1949 and 1969.
Okay. I hope all of you heard that real loud and real clear. We're talking about the potential of chemtrail involvement with Morgellons disease.
They begin as normal contrails from a jet engine, but do not fade away like a normal contrail. Soon after, he saw particles in the air.
You know, because we'd see it drop to the ground in a haze.
Nichols then noticed the material collecting on the ground. KSLA News 12 had the sample tested at a lab. The results? A high level of barium. 6.8 parts per million, more than 3 times the toxic level set by the EPA. KSLA News 12 discovered chemtrails are even mentioned by name in the initial draft of House Bill 2977 back in 2001 under the Space Preservation Act. But the military denies any such program exists.
What I found was unusual spiking since the early 1990s in barium, aluminum.
Rosalind Peterson of California Skywatch says health department records show a sharp increase in both chemicals in the water supply of Northern California, dating from the time the huge contrails first appeared over her home in Mendocino County.
Later, the 1994 Rockefeller report concluded hundreds of thousands of military personnel were also subjected to secret biological experiments over the last 60 years.
A string of congressional investigations has uncovered more than 20,000 secret tests that were carried out against the American people between 1910 and 2000. From 1943 until present, the British have tested lethal nerve gas on their own personnel on land, air, and sea. Many died instantly. Still others died grueling deaths over several years.
Things basically moving under my skin. You know,
the people claim they have strings, not hairs, but strings growing out of their skin.
It's all a system. They're all connected together.
Light fibers on my face. I saw black specks coming out of what looked like pimples, really.
It sounds like these people are talking about something out of a science fiction movie.
but they're not. They're describing the painful symptoms associated with a mysterious skin disease called Morgellons.
It's like fibers that come out of your skin?
Yes, there's this fibrous material. It's in layers.
Look at your arm.
Our hands swell and they itch, and
it's been described as feeling as if either bugs are crawling on the surface of your skin or underneath your skin.
Underneath the skin.
A call from Leanne Cofield's sister. A brief message with a long story. Leanne believes something is killing her mother and both of her sisters. Painful sores cover parts of their bodies. She found countless others experiencing the same misery, a brain fog of sorts, problems concentrating.
One of the most disturbing is the cognitive impairment, the inability to think clearly.
The feeling of bugs crawling on and biting the skin, and painful itchy sores that produce mysterious red and blue fibers and black specks.
Some black specks came out of my hand and came out of my arm.
They say out of slow-healing skin lesions will come bizarre filaments, especially after bathing.
That's when it would just really just ooze, literally ooze out of my skin.
There's no reasonable explanation for it. Something weird is going on, and something needs to be done.
He freaked out. He wanted to ignore it, which I wanted to too, but when it comes to your kids, you gotta stop ignoring it.
My kids have to see not only their dad, but their mom disintegrating, and that's gotta be really scary too.
His Nightline, January 16, 2008.
Good evening. Tonight we're going to focus on a controversial and mysterious condition known as Morgellons. There are thousands who say they suffer from its bizarre symptoms, but there are many in the worlds of science and medicine who believe that it's all in the mind. Well, now the government has weighed in, acknowledging that people are suffering and accepting the need for proper scientific investigation. So the Centers for Disease Control today announced that it would begin a new in-depth study to try and explain this strange condition.
Anne's 40-year-old husband, Tom, died 2 years ago in January, and she believes his death was due to a contagious illness that has infected her entire family.
Tell me what you believe is happening on your skin. It's like fibers that come out of your skin?
Yes, there's this fibrous material. It's in layers.
When her son Drew was just 2 years old, Mary noticed an odd sore on his lip that would not heal.
He very simply said bugs, and he pointed to his lips.
What Mary would do next would challenge the medical world and give hope to thousands of people across the country. As a biologist who once ran the electron microscope at Massachusetts General Hospital, she did what any scientist would do. She took a closer look.
What I saw were bundles of fibers, balls of fibers.
Even stranger, they glowed under UV light.
There was red and blue fluorescence in the fibers.
Armed with this research, Mary took Drew to a doctor at one of the country's leading hospitals, but he dismissed her tale of fibers and wrote to her pediatrician.
To basically say that my son needed Vaseline for his lips and that his mother, me, needed a thorough psychiatric evaluation.
Instead of a psych evaluation, Mary began poring through the medical literature, looking for clues. What she discovered was a 17th century reference to a strange disease with so-called harsh hairs called Morgellons. She named the strange fibers Morgellons disease and put the information on a website. Since then, more than 4,500 people have contacted Mary, claiming they too have Morgellons-type symptoms.
They've pre-decided that these symptoms are too impossible to be real, so they've come to this conclusion that it's a delusion.
Randy Wymore is not a medical doctor, but he is a scientist at Oklahoma State University. He started out as a skeptic too, but years ago, after taking a closer look at the fibers, he changed his mind. And he says other doctors might also, if only they would look.
And the few that have seen patients often have never actually gotten down with either a handheld microscope or a dermatoscope and looked at the patient's skin to see these fibers.
On the day we filmed this, Wymore's colleague, Dr. Rhonda Casey, examined that chronic sore on Drew's lip, which, after 5 years, still had not healed.
Plain as day, definitely a fiber. There are fibers there, and I have never seen fibers in any other child's rash similar to this. Okay, come on in here, young ladies.
Andil and her children also came to Oklahoma for an examination. They're all relieved to be among doctors who believe them.
To be doubted is very hard.
To have the disease and on top of it,
yes,
have no one believe
that
you.
It's real. Yeah.
Anne shows Dr. Casey a tiny pimple on her daughter Sarah's thigh that after 3 months has not gone away.
It's just a big wad of fibers bursting forth.
The doctors in Oklahoma believe Morgellons may trigger permanent neurological damage and may be spread by close contact. Dr. Wymore and his team are convinced that the fibers are at the center of the Morgellons mystery.
Whether bacterial, viral, parasites, insects, fungal, none of those really explain how those fibers and the specks are forming. And so it's very difficult to wrap one's mind around this because there is no example of anything that's quite like this.
But do these fibers grow from inside the body, as Morgellons patients believe, or do they come from the external environment, a kind of lint, as many doctors say? Whatever the cause, there is something strange about the fibers. Forensic scientist Ron Pogue at the Tulsa Police Crime Lab checked a Morgellon sample against the 100,000 known fibers in the FBI's national database.
No match at all. So this is some strange stuff.
Not cotton, not linen, not any known natural or synthetic fiber.
This isn't lint. This is not a commercial fiber. It's not.